Yo, so when it comes to Tiny Rogues, honestly, I'll probably end up making an early access video review at some point, but I wanted to get my first impressions out. First, it's early in its early access stage, so I have plenty of time to let it update before I go more in depth. But for now, I am astounded at how a game that looks as simple as this can have as much detail as it does. The sheer amount of different weapons I have come across is unreal. Some of them are straight shooters, others are AoE, and some shoot multiple projectiles, and so many more. What's immediately apparent to me with the weapons is a potential Realm of the Mad God inspiration. I'm not 100% certain, but some of the projectile patterns reminded me of weapons from that game, and that's a game I have played a lot of. To some extent, 2D bullet hells will all feel similar, so that's why I'm happy to have seen Tiny Rogues gain traction, because this is a true bullet hell, and I feel lucky to have a lot of experience in a similar title. To elaborate on that bullet hell experience a little more, there are some things that I think make a good bullet hell that Tiny Rogues has done well. Each enemy and subsequent bullet is unique, they all shoot different patterns, and you won't often lose your character in the mess on screen. Similarly important is getting the amount of bullets right. In my opinion, Tiny Rogue strikes a great balance here, so when it gets hard, you'll need to dodge multiple attacks and projectiles, but not too many so that it's impossible or that you get overwhelmed. Lastly, I think bullet hells by design have a great opportunity when it comes to visual style and animation. Tiny Rogues has retro art, but not at all retro animations. The animations are so smooth, which makes combat that much more engaging. It's a dungeon crawler fundamentally, and you'll have plenty of experience with different choices and rooms, and while obviously there can be more variety here, what exists at the moment is good. You can also get dice, which allow you to reroll room and shop choices if you'd like. And of course, at the end of a dungeon comes the boss. There are multiple different bosses for each dungeon, and there are achievements related to killing all the bosses for a specific dungeon, and I have to give big credit here because not only is the pacing for boss difficulty really well done, like each is clearly harder than the last, but the design is also phenomenal. Not only with the art, but more so with the variety in attacks and movement. When I first encountered each boss, it was really fun to discover what they did and how they moved, and now each time I go back, it's an opportunity for mastery of their moveset, and I think that's just great boss design no matter the genre or style of game. Progression in Tiny Rogues is quite simple at the moment, but creator Ruby Dev has vowed to provide more systems to sink your souls into, which is the currency in the game, and potentially even a rework of the existing systems. But what we have for now is good enough, especially with Cinder levels and the achievements to grind. There are multiple characters to unlock, each with their own stats, unique abilities, and weapons. I've found so far that this is where most of the replayability comes from, so going back into a run to try out a different character and spec into the stat that they specialize in. Progressing these characters in the run is also super well paced and simple to understand. It follows a similar system of assigning weapons to one of your three stats, dexterity, intelligence, or strength, and allowing you to spec according to what weapon or gear you want to run. It's also flexible, like you won't be stuck without an option at all because some of the weapons have multiple affinities. You can also get gear like a helmet, body armor, as well as potions, accessories, and a few other gear options. One thing I'll say before I end is that I really enjoy the pacing of Tiny Rogues. The dungeons get progressively harder, but without a sharp difficulty spike, and your character follows that pacing well too. I really think Tiny Rogues has a great future, and reading through the Steam updates has given me faith in Ruby Dev to succeed here. I highly recommend you give it a try. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Twitch, I'm streaming there a bit, and follow me on Twitter as well, subscribe, and see you later.